right. You are listening to the In Search SEO podcast, the podcast that paints a town red with succulent search marketing insights. Today, we are dressed to kill. We're kicking it with Orit Mutznik e-commerce content style. We're talking tidying up that commerce site blog, which means talking about aim to sell, aim to inform. What are you really trying to do with your commerce blog? How hard do you push your commerce content on your commerce site? And what works, what doesn't, and why so many commerce blogs suck. But before we get into your commerce content pizzazz with Orit, I want to have a heart-to-heart conversation with you. Yes, Sapir, before you answer this, I do have a heart. It's just cold.
Right.
So we're getting into what makes a good SEO study. I am your host, Mordy Oberstein, and I am joined by the quietly roaring and the semi-spiteful Sapir Karabello.
Hello, Mordy.
Hello, Sapir. How's it going?
Semi-spiteful. Okay, I like that.
Yeah, it's good. Cause like, you got that little edge to you
Oh,
that you try to hide,
I don't try to hide, no.
like a robber or a thief in the night.
Okay, Mordy. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
Great. I'm going on vacation soon, so I'm pretty good.
Are you?
Yeah, we're like going to some cabin in the middle of nowhere because, like, where are you gonna go? Like, I gotta get away. Like, I need a break. But
You're going to a cabin in the middle of nowhere? Have
Basically.
you seen no horror films, like, whatsoever?
I don't like horror films. Like, aren't scary to me. Like, oh, there's a guy with a chainsaw. Wow, that's scary.
Okay.
Oh, he's got a knife. He's in the closet.
No, but
So,
a
no.
cabin in the middle of nowhere,
Right.
that's like...
I've actually done like real cabins, like in the middle of nowhere, like no cell phone reception. That's been awesome. But like, where are you gonna go now anyway? Because like, it was Corona, you can't go anywhere near people. So like, somewhere in the middle of nowhere,
Oh, you have a point. Okay,
right?
then.
See,
Have fun.
I thought
in
it
the middle
through.
of nowhere.
I will
Mhm.
barbecue,
Okay.
beer. That's pretty much, that's pretty much the itinerary.
Okay, you do you.
Yes, I will do me. Oh, by the way, that means, folks, there is no In Search SEO podcast next week. Heartbroken. Yes, but that does mean, so Tuesday, August 18th, where there normally would have been an In Search SEO podcast episode, there will be none. We will be back on August 25th with the one and the only Nick Ranger. That's right, Nick Ranger on Rank Ranger. It's going to be awesome. Be sure to check out our bonus content on Twitter. We do some bonus material from our guests, some great fun stuff. Look forward on our Twitter page. It's insearch@_SEO. The bonus content comes out on Wednesday and Thursday each week. So definitely check that out. Sign up for a newsletter. You can find the newsletter. Sign up on the blog post for this podcast. So there's that. Also, don't forget, we put out a new episode of the In Search SEO podcast each and every Tuesday, except for next Tuesday because we're back on the 25th. You can find it on SoundCloud, Stitcher, Spotify, or wherever great podcasts are found. Of course, you can find it on the Rank Ranger blog or subscribe on iTunes. Did I hit everything we need to do? Oh, don't forget to check out Rank Ranger. If you want to go beyond rank tracking, but have some awesome rank tracking at the same time, then you want Rank Ranger. Head over to rankranger.com, sign up for a 14-day free trial. No credit card necessary because we are not spamming. I think now I got it all, right?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
Definitely.
I've hit all the check boxes this week. Pretty good. Like sometimes I forget the bonus content on Twitter.
You never forget the bonus content
I do.
on Twitter.
I didn't
Come
do it
on.
last week. Check out last week's episode with John Mueller. We didn't do it.
Oh,
I
you
forgot.
didn't?
Yeah, and there was some great stuff.
Wow, okay.
Dude, head over to the Twitter page because like there's some great bonus material from last week from John Mueller. Like I asked him like, does he use Bing? And I asked him how much links cost. And it was awesome. He does use Bing, he said.
Right.
Unlike everybody else. Okay, so I have not peeved on this show in quite a while. I know I constantly rant, but that's like a different thing. Today I'm peeving.
Okay.
Okay. I'm upset. I mean, I'm always semi-upset or on the verge of upsetness. But this
You're
is like
always
righteous
upset.
anger. Yeah. Because I saw a study on Google
Uh-huh.
property SERP domination, and it was a hot mess. It was a mess. So, I'm going to go on and share what I think makes up a good study, but I'm going to do it with some righteous indignation because this is going to be, and I want you to roll that calming music, another one of Morty's pet peeves. Are you ready, Sapir?
Yeah.
Buckle up. Here we go.
Okay.
Did you buckle up?
Sure.
You have a buckle on your office chair? That's weird. Why do you have it?
Just move on, Mordy.
Okay.
Come on.
So, by the way, if you think that Sapir really doesn't like troll me in real life, check out my Twitter feed, and there's a great troll from Sapir there. Okay, anyway, the markup. The markup. We did a study called Google's Top Search Results Surprise, It's Google, where they show that, surprise, Google, like Pablo Escobar, likes to push its own product. Well, blow me down for all you Full House fans. Because I've never heard that before in the past 2 or 3 years. I mean, really, it's shocking. I never heard it before. Oh my gosh, what a revelation. So glad that study came out because now I know this. But besides that, okay, like that's not really my peeve. That's not really what I want to get into. By the way, before I get going, but I'm not really in an angry mood today. This isn't working. Okay, before I get going, I do want to say that I'm not trying to pick apart people's work. I do not like to do that. God knows you can nitpick mine all you want. But what I would like to point out is that there is a lack in the understanding of what it means or the perspective that produces really solid SEO study content. And that if you don't have that perspective without realizing it, because I think what happened here was not intentional, that without realizing you could put out some stuff that maybe not be, might not be so great. So I'm not trying to pick anybody's work. I'm just trying to help people. I'm just doing it with a little tinge of anger. Okay, so here we go. So this study, which we will link to in the show notes so you can find it yourself, they examined 15,000 recent popular queries. By the way, problem right there, folks, is that recent popular queries means that they're talking about high search volume queries. But they're not explicitly telling you that. Which, again, I don't think they did that on purpose. I just think they kind of mentioned it. They go, okay, that's good enough. But unless you think into it, you're like, okay, fine, 15,000 sounds like a lot. Recent popular queries. Everyone loves popular. But you don't realize that's a very, perhaps, I don't know the exact keyword set they used, but it's a very perhaps high search volume keyword set, which is fine. It is what it is, but it means that there's a limitation there. And of course, there's always going to be a limitation, which I'm going to get to in a second. Okay. So I thought they should have mentioned that outright. I'm nitpicking. I don't want to get into this. Okay, so anyway, they said that 41% of page 1 mobile results contain a direct answer. And that's why Google is preferring its own properties, cutting out everybody, walled garden, etc., etc. Okay, which we know is a problem, not minimizing that. However, 41% of mobile pages do not contain a direct answer. You know how I know this? Because our SERP feature tracker tracks that, and it's only about 10%, 8-9% to be more specific. The problem is that they call every SERP feature, even ones that have URLs, direct answers. Like, for example, a PAA box, people also ask, which is like a feature snippet, has a URL. That's not a direct answer. There's a URL there. Not saying that sometimes they don't function as direct answers, but there is a URL there. Feature snippet, URL there. Okay, fine. Got confused with the terms. Weren't so explicit. Fine. Okay, I'm not trying to get in anyone's case. Not my point.
Right.
Okay. They don't really offer so many details. That is kind of peeving me a little bit. They did offer one example, just one, by the way. And the query was some kind of a medical query that brought up a dictionary box and a medical panel. And they asked, where are the organic results? So, again, a little late to the party, aren't we, guys? But anyway, okay, not getting on that. The query was for, I wrote it down somewhere because I don't remember it. Myocardial infarction, which I don't know what that is, okay, but whatever. Because who cares that there's a medical knowledge panel and a dictionary box there? Because who's ranking for that query anyway? You're not. It doesn't matter.
Didn't we talk about it like a couple of weeks ago? That Google is boosting authoritative sites when it comes to medical keywords?
We talked about boosting .gov sites, but in general, Google goes for top level queries, like it's like a name of a disease or cancer cure or whatever it is. Super authorities reign supreme. There is no room for you on the SERP. So the point is like, all these SERP features, see, Google's killing you. Doesn't really matter anyway, because you're not going to rank for that query anyway, even if there were no SERP features there, because you are not WebMD. Okay, so here's my, that's really my point. And that's really, they analyze these queries, like top-level medical queries like the one they showed. And all right, here's our conclusion. And this is where I think SEO studies fail. Because SEO studies should be messy. They are messy. And if it's not messy, it's probably not good.
If it's not messy, it's not good?
Right. Because there's always going to be tons of limitations. Like, if you don't understand the implication, what else is going on the SERP? Like, in this case, if you're just looking at this, there's so many SERP features here. No one can rank. But you're forgetting the fact that you can't rank anyway because Google prefers super authorities for these top-level YMYL kind of queries. And that point's kind of moot anyway. So what are you really telling me? Okay, there's always going to be limitations. Because the way Google treats queries is so different from one case to the next case, which is why it's important to say, hey, we focus on high search volume queries, because the way they treat those queries, the way Google treats those queries, is different from the way Google treats other kind of queries, right? Like, let's just say you analyze a million local queries. Like, I was working on a study last week, comes out in about 2 weeks from now on meta descriptions and how Google's using them in different positions, whatever it is. You'll see when it comes out.
Okay. Yeah.
And I had a whole bunch of local queries I was using, and I saw, okay, wait a second, a lot of the queries that I'm using in here are related to hotels. Best hotel in Denver, whatever it is. So
right.
okay, I really need to check that and see, is Google treating the hotel local queries different than some other types of local queries that I'm looking at? So you guessed what I did.
You actually checked it and wrote your findings?
I did. But I also mentioned that as a limitation. Like, there are a lot of hotel-centric queries in here. I separated them out, but it is a limitation.
Mm-hmm.
And the data is a little bit different. Okay, by the way, and this is like another point, I don't think a good SEO study is about analyzing 4 million bazillion, we analyze 15 million keywords, and just plopping data into a post like it's some sort of toilet.
Ew.
Yeah. Because I actually sometimes prefer studies that are 300, 400, 500 keywords. Which I know may sound weird because you want studies to have a lot of, keywords in them, right? Or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, like in my statistics 101 course back in university, we did learn that the bigger the sample size is, the smaller the variance is. But I guess I see your point.
No,
but I don't know. I still think that the more the better. I don't know.
It all depends. Okay, there's a downside to each of these things. I'm not saying that those studies are bad. I'm just saying sometimes I prefer the ones that are not that way. In other words, sometimes I prefer a qualitative study over a quantitative study. Let me ask you, if you're analyzing, Sapir, 4 million, gazillion, gajillion, billion keywords. Real number. My kid used it like an hour ago. Are you going to look at every single SERP, every one of these queries produces? Are you going to jump into all? No, it's too many. Right? So you're missing a lot of detail.
You'll write it down as a limitation.
Yes, I'm saying, but sometimes I prefer more qualitative analysis, which means, yes, you have to have a decent sample size. There's a whole argument out there of how big of a sample size is big enough for a qualitative study. But generally speaking, if you're using something like 300-500 keywords, let's even say 250, if you want to go on the lower end of it, it's a decent enough sample size where you can still dive into a lot of those queries and a lot of those SERPs. And really get into some of that nuance, some of that detail that you don't get when you're looking at a million different keywords. I'm not saying I disagree with you. I'm just saying each has its own place and time. But sometimes I prefer, and I think sometimes in the SEO industry we forget about some of the more qualitative studies.
Okay.
So I
see your point.
I see your point too. Wow, we agree. That's weird. Let me try to be concise about this because it's not my thing. Okay. A good SEO study is about nuance. Okay, if you're taking a nuanced look at something, which means you consider things like how well-rounded is your data set. And it's okay if it's not. You just need to say so.
Right.
What are the implications of that data set in terms of what actually is going on the SERP in reality? What does it mean if I use this kind of data set versus another kind of data set? Why is it this way? Why is it not that way? What does it all mean? It's a mystery. And you're trying to put all the pieces of the puzzle together. Which sometimes means analyzing the pieces. It always means analyzing the pieces themselves. Why are we using this piece and not that piece? Why do these two pieces fit together? Why do some pieces differ from other pieces? And what does that imply? Very metaphorical over here with the puzzle, I think. All of it means it comes down to nuance. And with nuance, by the way, and this is my main point, comes limitations. So you're never going to fully break something down. Like, let's say in this case, they're working with 15,000 keywords.
Right.
Keywords with all sorts of intents. And within those intents, more intents. And within those intents, sub-intents. Within the sub-intents, sub-sub-sub-intents. And within the sub-sub-sub-intents, sub-sub-sub-sub-sub-intents. You're never going to be able to break it all down to its smallest part. You know what I mean?
Right. No, yeah. In this case, intent does play a big part.
Huge part. Huge
Right.
part. Like, if you're looking at only one kind of intent and saying 40% of the SERPs are X, okay, but that's only like one small micro part of the universe. Not to say that that's not an important part of the universe on the SERP, but it's still, it's like one little sliver of the universe. So you can't make a general sweeping claim. Okay, a good SEO study will point out those limitations. Why? Because they're not a bad thing. It is what it is. This is life. And by the way, and you want to take away one point from what I'm telling you right now? Admitting your own limitations forces you to go deeper and explore other aspects of whatever it is you're studying. Like when I saw I had too many hotel keywords. Okay, what does that data say? Let's segment it out. See what we get then. Oh, you know what? Maybe I need some more keywords. Why is this happening with these keywords? Why is it not happening with those keywords? By accepting your limitations and admitting them, if you're honest with yourself, you're going to explore other avenues to figure out what the heck is going on. And that really helps move the great SEO dialogue along. Put it this way, okay, the more limitations, the more it shows you really thought into things. The more it shows you, you understand like the implications of what goes on the SERP. Because you can't do a study in isolation of reality. The SERP is the SERP. It shows the more limitations, the more you are aware of the reality of what's going on with that data.
Right. No, I think it's pretty basic stuff. So like every study has to identify and point out the limitations.
Yeah, but they don't. Or the very precursory, like, here's the limit. I only used, this kind of very simple, okay? But you really got to go into it. Because I think that's really where the meat and potatoes really is of a study. What's the nuance? What's the differentiation? Is that you've made these distinctions. I'm looking only at this and not this. I'm looking at this, but not this. And then you can really create something distinct that way. Because, and this is my last point, an SEO study is not about the data. It's about how the author's able to interpret that data. What are you able to do with this? Right? Anyone, I don't mean anyone, but anyone can throw out, okay, here's 1 million keywords. Here's what, I put into a spreadsheet and I formulated the spreadsheet. Here's what the data that I got. But analyzing it, what does it mean? What are the implications? Where is this limited? Does it only apply to here? Does it not apply over here? What does it say about Google? What does it say about users? All of that stuff, that's the real heart of the study, which means you have to actually be smart and use your brain and not just plop data into a blog post like a toilet, like I mentioned earlier. Okay, and it sounds obvious, but it's not, because so many studies miss that, which is what's going on. I think in this case, is that, hey, we analyzed a lot of keywords, and we got this. We didn't really, process what it means, and we didn't really bother to really fully analyze it. Again, not picking on this particular piece of work. I don't want to do that. But let's be honest, that's really what it was. And there you have it. I'm done.
Wow, this podcast is making me feel like I'm back in university and learning how to write a research paper.
If it makes you feel better, I'm wearing a jacket with patches on the elbows. Patches? Like the leather patches on the elbows that professors wear? I'm also wearing a pocket protector.
Oh, Professor Mordy, okay.
Gosh, whoosh.
Thank you,
right
Professor
over your
head. Mordy.
Well then, okay. From writing studies to writing content on your commerce blogs. Good pivot there, Morty. Here's Orit Mutznik on what you should and shouldn't be doing with your commerce blog.
Here comes another search marketing expert. It's time for an in-search interview.
Welcome to another In-Search SEO podcast interview. Today we have with us someone who is the most in vogue SEO you could possibly imagine. She's a Brighton SEO speaker with pizzazz. She's fashion, e-commerce, and SEO all in one. She's Silkthread's head of SEO. She's Orit Mutznik. How are you? Welcome.
Hey, thank you. Thanks for having me. That's definitely the most pizzazz intro I've had.
See, everybody says that about the intros, and I always tell them the same, this is the height of the interview. It's all downhill after that. That's the pinnacle of it. Don't expect that to continue. I can't handle that for another half hour. I can't maintain it. I try, though. So
I'll try my best to help.
Thank you. Please. I always need the support. So please let us know, what is Silkthread? What do you guys do? Go into it. Plug
Yeah,
yourself.
sure. Yeah, thanks, Mordy, for that lovely intro. So, yeah, I am the head of SEO at Silkfred, as you mentioned. That's a women's fashion e-commerce that they bring small independent designers to showcase their collections. So it's like a marketplace of sorts. It's for women's clothing. And yeah, so as far as for me, I specialize in technical SEO, international SEO, and mostly blog content strategy. Yeah, as you mentioned, I'm also speaking in Brighton SEO in October. That will be
Sweet.
about pagination. It's going to be called Thank You Realm Next. So it's quite
Oh,
cute.
awesome.
And yeah, I'm also a co-author in Blue Ray's Amazon bestselling Mastering In-House SEO book. I'm promoting it now because all proceeds go to Samaritan, which is to charity. So be sure to get that.
We will definitely link to that. We'll definitely link to that.
Yeah, 26 other SEO experts, each collaborating in a chapter about what they're doing. And I talk about how to nail your SEO dream job, which is what I did when I got this job at Silkfred and then moved to London thanks to it, living my dream. And yeah, so yeah, be sure to get that.
Awesome.
Yeah, I've been in London for the last 1.5 years with my husband, 2 kids, and my little kitten, which I love. So essentially, my journey to London came after I was born in Argentina, lived most of my life in Israel. Yeah, it was a dream to live in London, and now I'm here.
You're like the UN.
So,
You're like the UN of SEO.
yeah, I'm Miss Worldwide, you can call me.
Right. Wait, so what's the best thing about London? Because I like London. I'm a New Yorker, and I found London to be like a less intense version of New York.
Yeah, I would agree with you. It comes to people as a surprise, but I love the weather.
Really?
And people think I'm nuts because I think after living in Israel all these years with like 40 degrees starting from April, I'm like, yeah, that's too much for me. So yeah, I'm enjoying 25-degree summer. And yeah, I love the cold. I love the snow. I'm quite of a
Nice.
strange person.
By the
So
way, that's Celsius for all of our American listeners. It's not like 25 degrees Fahrenheit.
sorry about that.
Yeah.
I do not know what Fahrenheit is.
I don't know what
so
Celsius is.
Kind of, I'm a Celsius kind of person. So yeah, so that's my.
I always remember someone saying, "Wow, it's so hot out. It's 30 degrees." I'm like, "What are you talking about? That's freezing." I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, that's a culture shock right there, Celsius and Fahrenheit. Wait, but
yeah,
they use Fahrenheit in England, don't they? Or no?
No, they use inches.
Oh, you're right. You're right. They use inches, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Inches. That's something that I had to get used to as well. I'm more of a centimeter type of person.
Right, centimeters, meters.
So, yeah, exactly.
Please.
Which they use that sometimes. So it's like a very, I don't know. I'm just going with the flow.
Yeah, I don't know my measurements either. Now that I've switched to Celsius, I don't know. I get the oven. Like I kind of know like 275 or something. That's where you're supposed to kind of put it, but I have no idea what I'm doing. Anyway, let's forget about Celsius and Fahrenheit for a minute because
that would be a long discussion. Yeah. Anyway, so today I mentioned that I focus mostly on technical SEO. But I got into SEO in 2008. I got into it from the content side of things. Which was a natural transition for me because I was a freelance content writer and translator.
Oh, cool.
From my early teens, using my 3 languages. So that was my...
So you're the perfect person to talk about blogging with.
Well, you said it. I hope so. I hope I'll do well in this podcast.
I have full confidence in your abilities. Which, by the way, is interesting because you're coming from having so many different backgrounds. So many different industries. Do you find that blogging is the same? It's consistent from vertical to vertical, or it's like very unique? It's like e-commerce versus like an informational site, that kind of thing.
Absolutely not. It's not one size fits all, which is one of the most important things that I want to talk about today. Because I think when I started, I thought it was all the same because I got into SEO and I started, of course, learning about the different Google algorithms. And one of the things that drove my knowledge in this career was to constantly be very tuned to the ranking factor studies. I gave it, I think, much more importance than what I should have given it.
I think everybody made that mistake. Everybody made that mistake.
Totally. And, I switched companies over the years. even though the main industries I worked in were gaming, fintech, and e-commerce. But they're still very, very different industries with different goals and focuses. So I've always been involved in content strategies for these companies. And I did adapt my goals and focuses over the years. But you know what? I realized I wasn't really, because what I did was I was an SEO content marketer. So I did what everybody would do, which is, do your keyword research, put that keyword frequency in, even though it's different industries, so it's different keywords, but essentially, find those top search terms, write that evergreen long form content that would hopefully bring value. But, so I had to evolve though, obviously, when the algorithms got smarter and smarter. So by one size fits all solution, which was what I was doing, I meant driving quality by the algorithms. But I was mainly doing things sort of in a robot type way. I mean, you have to have that long form content, you have to have those keywords. So essentially, what I realized, you said everybody did that mistake. So it's correlation, not causation.
Right.
So,
and it's very specific about what you're doing, and as opposed to like there's just general factors out there, even niche factors. I have a whole theory, by the way, that the ranking factor itself is much less important than it used to be in general, because Google's looking at content and saying, hey, you know what, like we can actually understand what you're saying here intrinsically, so we don't need an indirect signal the way that we used to anymore. But I'm wondering, what are you seeing in terms of, because so now you're working in, say, the e-commerce space, in fashion, which is so awesome. Yeah. Do you get to go to Paris, by the way? Do you get a discount
not really.
on clothes?
I do get a discount.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. So I need that. Anyway, but my affinity for discounts aside, when you're working on an e-commerce blog, so what are you considering now versus, let's say, you were working on, I don't know, some sort of like highly informational health blog? Because we always speak about health blogs and authority, but we don't really speak about the commerce side of blogging.
Yep. So I think that is entirely different. So you do have the things that are important across niches, like looking at top search volume and long form content and links. Like those are the things that I've been looking at for years. But actually, I think that a critical thing that was missing here was looking at revenue, actually, because I come from an SEO standpoint, and for me, like my top KPI is sometimes rankings. So I'll do my keyword research and I just want to rank. And if I rank, like, this is over for me. I've done it. I'm the best and it's great. But sometimes, like, if you look at those sites that are used for the rankings research, like for the correlation research on ranking factors, so it's not necessarily that long form content is what ranks them there. And it's not necessarily that it brings them the revenue that they're looking for. So you don't know what's behind that. And there are definitely, so essentially I realized that they don't apply to all industries, as you mentioned.
Right.
And they're not, those as well are not one solution fits all. Because you can like take it for granted and like copy it into your industry.
But that's a good point in general, because I think we get stuck in the SEO mindset, whereas I really think we should be about a growth mindset. You look at a page, okay, yeah, it ranks, but how do you get the user to convert? What are they seeing when they see this page? What's their sentiment towards this page? And one of the things that I was preparing for this interview, because I am not a big commerce person. Like I don't shop a lot online. I mean, I do shop online, but I'm not a big shopper in general. And I don't read a lot of commerce blog content. So I was like, okay, let me look and let me research the top commerce blogs. And Shopify gave me a whole list. I'm like, wow, this list sucks. Like every single one of these blogs sucked. And I'm wondering, is that just me? Or is that like these blogs are sort of pushing their products and I don't really care? Like, it doesn't really do anything for me.
Well, I think, so in the e-com niche, you do push products. I mean, eventually you do. But it's
that's the whole point.
Yeah, that's the whole
you have to
point,
push
exactly.
a product.
But you have to be smart about it because, the reason why you thought those sucked is because they most likely don't adapt to their target audiences. So they don't, so it differs per niche. So for example, long form content in blogs could work for a fintech company that's trying to educate people on how to invest. But on the other hand, it won't help someone who is like just wants to buy something. That's quite popular, quite trending right now. So in that respect, you might go short and snappy. So that's
Right.
a different thing to do. And you just want to give stuff that people actually want and consider user intent, which is in most cases very much underrated and something that people don't take into account.
How do you balance all of that though? Because like when I saw these blogs, I'm like, okay, you're just trying to peddle a product. You're not really giving me any helpful information. Like if I really wanted to see about the product, I would just go to the product page. So on the one hand, like you have to sort of be a little bit more creative about how you do this, but you do have to drive the sale. That's the whole point, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So how do you do that?
So I think that the most important tool that we have about this is looking at keyword search volumes. But the problem is that we're taking it as a given. Like we're taking the search volumes as a given, and we're all guilty of that. We know it's far from accurate.
I'm just going to say that's a big problem. Yeah, because I mean, ever since Jump Shot and Keyword Planner before that, I will say this as a tool provider. Search volume data is very, very tricky. I think Kevin Innig had a recent interview. About like, okay, how do we move beyond search volume? Yeah, I think that's Oh, that is definitely something that people should check out and think about, because I think we're at the point where, okay, search volume is not the metric we once thought it was, and we need to figure out a way to get around that. But in terms of driving a conversion, do you do a soft sale? Do you I'll mention the product, or do you try to get them, here's really good information, and we hope they come back again, and then we'll get them when they come back?
Yeah, so I think that people don't only search for just the product and want to buy it. People search for other stuff as well. So in that case, it's important the blog is a space where you are able to tackle all of those additional questions that people won't find necessarily on the site. So when you think search volume, so obviously I will not rely on the actual amount of people, and I won't think that if it says 100,000 people search a month, that's not really 100,000 people, right? But what it does give me is to know like big, medium, small terms for me to prioritize. And the big ones will mostly go to the site, the money terms. And the smaller ones are actually quite surprising, because even though you might ignore them, they have a lot of gems inside of people actually looking for things related to your brand, more specifically, that you're actually expert on because it is your brand. And you can provide that content, and that works much, much better than I would anticipate. So whereas in the past, I wouldn't totally ignore like two-digit, three-digit search volumes, I found those to be the best performing ones, because coming back to the issue of intent, they have lots of intent behind it. And I think that today intent is absolutely everything. And if you nail that, then that goes far beyond search volume.
Quality over quantity. Quality over quantity.
Yeah, absolutely.
It makes a lot of sense. Like, not all traffic is equal. Do you how far down the wormhole do you go though? Like how far into the future are you thinking about this? Like, would you build a blog, or would you write about topics that build your brand identity? I'm trying to think of a good example. Like, I don't know, like if I'm a health site, so I'll write all about how broccoli is good for you. Even though I don't sell broccoli, I have nothing to do with broccoli per se, but I will write about it because that helps build my identity as a source of health information, or whatever it is. You may not actually convert about that, but it purely for brand identity is what I'm asking. Like, do you blog about that, or do you use your blog in that way? If you're a commerce site, or is that like way too far down the line?
I think that you have to have a combination of both. I think that writing branded content or trust building content is very critical to all niches, because you're not just a site that's been put up there to bring sales. You have to build your reputation, which is true to every site. So not every single blog or not every single piece of content that I do is about bringing sales. It is obviously one of the most important goals of the blog or the site, but if you don't build that trust around it, So that's probably not going to happen. So that's why in some cases, so it's important to connect it to trends information. So you see what's being searched as far as questions and as far as things that are important to people as well in your niche. And you would, in most cases, go to trends and see if you can answer people's questions in a good way, like in a trusted way, to get people maybe not convert through that post directly, but convert through other things, but build that trust, gain that trust from the user.
So let me put you on the spot for a second. I'm not doing this like in a mean way at all. So I was looking at your site's blog. I'm like, hey, the access to the blogs at the bottom of the page is not very prominent. And I've seen a bunch of commerce sites do something like that. I'm wondering, is that strategic? Is there something behind that, or just like, hey, it's the way we have our page set up?
Well, everything about in-house SEO is like little battles,
Okay. I don't want you to step on a landmine here. That's not. I was just asking because I've seen a bunch of other commerce sites do the same thing, and I was wondering, hey, is it maybe like we don't want to come off as too informational, so we hide the blog content, or we want you to come through the blog content via search and not through the home? Like current shoppers, maybe we don't want them to see the blog content. We'd rather just see the product content. But if you're searching and then you find the blog, hey, that's awesome. I don't want to get you in trouble.
No, I can just say that it's a combination of both. So as an in-house SEO, you always, you have to pick your battles eventually. And, obviously, as much as I'd like much more visibility on the blog, on the other hand, I do understand that it is about the money and the site is about the money. So as far as the top site, as far as the eyes going towards the top of the site, they should be focused around buying products and getting what people want. So
it's always about the Benjamins.
Exactly. But by the way, I think it still goes pretty well, because if you focus on the other stuff, like writing in relation to trends and focusing on things that people are actually interested in the site, I'm going to talk about a few things, a few examples of that. So you'll get that traffic from search. You'll get that conversion from search.
Right.
So I wouldn't worry too much about it. They're very, very much more important battles to fight.
That's a good point.
I will get there at some point,
right.
but
I'll keep checking. I'm gonna come back one day to the site and be like, hey, the blog is right there. She won.
Exactly. So it's something that's particularly hard is also get resources for the blog, as far as, writers and, technical elements, because, if I'm an SEO and I manage all aspects of SEO, so what do I prefer, to have a money page ranking better or performing better, or having the blog faster and nicer and
That's
cleaner?
a great question. That's like a legit case of keyword cannibalization. Not like one keyword's actually eating another keyword's rankings. That makes absolutely no sense to me whatsoever, based on what Google has themselves said about this. But no, that's a case where you're eating away your own page. Right? I don't want to rank my blog here. I'd rather rank my product page here. So you really have to be careful. That's a great point. Didn't think about that at all. That's
true, but also the blog, you have to segment it in your head that the blog is meant for long tails and questions, as far as it actually is currently the situation, and the site is for the big money terms. So the blog is for long tails. So that's a separation that happens in reality. So as far as I'm concerned, from an e-commerce point of view, don't bother with writing a blog post that you tend to rank it for a huge term. That won't work. But if you do write a blog post covering a certain angle of that big term, then that would definitely help with the overall trust of your site and convert in itself.
So you wouldn't do our top 10, dresses of the month blog post?
Yeah, so actually that's something that I would do actually, because that's something that people actually are interested in.
But then aren't you taking away from your products in that particular instance?
Absolutely, always. That's the importance of connecting to the business you're in, because you have to step beyond the SEO metrics, which is something that I mentioned previously. So go beyond search volumes and purely SEO metrics. So connect to the business. That's one of the most important tips that I can give. So
that makes a lot of sense. So you would write a post about, you would feature the product. It may, and then that would segue naturally, very directly into a product page, I would assume. Like that's a very high conversion kind of. Okay, I get it.
Absolutely.
I know nothing about fashion or shopping. This is my problem.
So always look at the trends, because so that's going beyond looking at the search volumes, because that's what people are actually searching for right now. And even though a search term has like a two-digit search volume, but it's really, really trending right now, so you might as well jump on that. Actually, you did mention the podcast that Kevin Indig had, and I listened to it, and I think it was awesome, because one of the great recommendations that I got was the new tool by the Majestic founder, Dixon Jones, called InLinks. It's actually really, really great, because it gives you not only like an estimate, but an actual sort of number of people interested, and more precise trends.
Right,
numbers.
That is cool.
So this is something I just started looking at, but I'm going to definitely use it much more. But one of the things that I do is look at trends, beyond search volume. So I start with that, but that's still like in the SEO realm. So also, in addition to trends, look at the questions and try to answer that. So beyond, FAQ schema and things that you can do, if you don't have FAQ schema, for example, is actually just don't worry about that too much, but actually worry more about just jumping on that and giving a fast answer to what your users are looking for. So in the fashion industry, if like tie-dye, for example, that's coming back.
Is it really?
Style. Yeah, it is. It is actually.
It went out of style?
Yeah, I think.
Oh, I have to say, you're asking the wrong. I still wear tie-dye. Like, oh boy. Okay.
So now it's in fashion, so you can be.
Oh, cool. Because like the best shirt I ever bought was from a Who concert outside of Madison Square Garden. And I was like, I don't know, 18. I still have the shirt, and I bought it for it's a bootleg. I bought it for $5 on the street for some guy in a wheelchair.
That's cool.
Oh yeah, that was, and it's tie-dye. I love that shirt. I've been wearing it forever. So now it's back. It was in style. It's back out of style, and now it's back in style. I am old. That's official. I am officially old.
Yeah, but how do you know that? Just
I don't care. I just go. Yeah, oh, try right. You're right. If you care, you look at trends, right? Or if you're like me, you just don't care.
Because I care about what's trending as far as fashion is concerned.
I would
but
hope.
On the other hand, yeah, obviously.
That's your job.
And I need to jump on that. I need to know what the terms are. So what I would do is just connect those trends. So if I found from a purely SEO perspective, what are the trends in my industry, then I go to numbers from inside the business to see what are the best-selling products in tie-dye, for example. And then I would have a roundup post about, the top-selling tie-dye product.
Top-selling tie-dye is from a guy who looks completely intoxicated sitting in a wheelchair outside of a Who concert. That's the best tie-dye product ever.
Well, it's better with models. I'll tell you that. It's better when you have the models.
So I should have taken a picture of the guy who looked like really disheveled selling me that $5 Who shirt. Probably not a good idea. So right? That would not help sales.
Yeah, so I do that, but make it fashion.
Okay.
So that's, so essentially always connect to metrics from your business, because another element, so not only a top-selling tie-dye shirts, but also what's top-selling in general, what's top searched in general. So you would connect to your on-site searches. That's really, really important for you when you build a content strategy for the blog, when you want to write a blog post. See what your users are searching for right now. And then you can leverage that to do ad hoc content, because, the money site, as you would call it, is not as dynamic, because you have set categories, you have set products. The only way that you can cross-stitch that is to do a blog post, and you kind of jump on user intent right there and then. And if you do that, then you can successfully get people to convert from those posts.
That's a nice way to segue that. Like, you have your immediate versus your not immediate. Like, I can use my blog to be adaptive, or I can't use my feature pages to be adaptive, because, hey, this, what we have is what we have.
Yeah, absolutely. So I can make the connections that I wouldn't otherwise be able to do on the website. So
cool.
if people search for like a certain trend on site, then I can give them the best of what's that trend that they were looking for. and people find it very good because I give them shortcuts. What I do is give them shortcuts actually in the blog, and that also connects to branded searches on the blog. So you for example mentioned discounts. People love discounts.
Yes,
As a
we do.
brand, we don't really give that many discounts. We prefer sales a few times a year, but you can still jump on the discount bandwagon
Nice.
if you give some hacks on how to find discounted products on your site. That's actually a great way to get that traffic and that intent.
So speaking of discounts, I have this fun little game that I play with my guests. I call it Optimize It or Disavow It. It's where I give you two either really, really good options, and you're stuck choosing one good option over another good option. It's zero sum. Or, as in this case, two really bad options, and you're stuck choosing one crappy option over another crappy option. And that is entirely uncomfortable, and that's why this is the
No.
It really is. It really is uncomfortable. I try to make it as uncomfortable as possible because it's entertaining. But this is the Orit Mutznik version of Optimize It or Disavow It. So again,
sounds good.
let's do it. Right? Speaking of discounts, you could do one or the other. It's a commerce blog where every single post is either about a giveaway, a promo code, or a discount. Or you could write substantial blog posts about your worst products, the most horrible products you have. Which one do you do?
Sounds horrible. Why would I do that?
That's the point of the game. That's the point of the game. Which terrible option will you choose?
Yes.
You can say none, by the way. You
Those
can.
are indeed horrible options.
Yes, they
I
are.
concur.
Thank you. It took me a long time to think of a really bad option. I have a lot of pride in this.
So I would definitely go with the discount option. Again, I'm against doing that 100% of that, but that's definitely going to get me more sales than that. This is the worst product that we have. Would be funny though.
That'd be
funny.
great.
Might be viral.
Right.
But yeah, definitely.
Buy this
I do
bad
want
product.
sales.
5
Yeah,
reasons why you should buy this really bad product.
5 reasons why you should not buy this product and get this product instead. Yeah.
But then
anyway.
you could do that. You can like 5 reasons why you should not buy this product, and then at the end offer a really big discount.
Yeah. But then why would they want to buy this product? They
Because
don't
it's a
want to
discount. Everyone likes discounts.
Yeah, but you know what? People like discounts for things that they actually. Well, I don't know. Most
I don't
people
know.
like discounts for things they actually need. Or
I
want.
think people like discounts for the sake of discounts. Like, does it really go, hey, you got $1 off. Hey, does $1 really matter? No, but it's like, hey, I got a discount.
No, I think that actually the not focusing on discounts all that much. That's actually that works too. That works too. You do have to please the masses. You do, but also there are lots of great things that are not discounted that are also very interesting to people, especially when it's something they're looking for. So you don't have to be 100% about that.
So that'll be the final word. Orit, thank you so much for coming on. This is awesome, and best of luck to you.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks so much.
You got it. And we are back to your regularly scheduled In Search SEO podcast. I hate commerce blogs. I really do. I just find them annoying. So if you're writing one and I'm your target audience, you got a lot of work to do. No, for real. Just here's all these great things about my product. You're clearly just trying to peddle your product to me. I get what you're doing, and I don't like it. So yeah, it's a hard balance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome. With that, Sapir, it's our favorite time of the podcast. Could you please hit it with the news?
Google says that negative reviews didn't impact rankings. But if you have a ton of them, the algorithm could pick that up.
Right. This was a whole conversation with Glenn Gabe on Twitter, and I think John Mueller. Pretty sure it was John Mueller. Where, this happened to Glenn had a problem years ago with this where so many negative reviews and the site lost their rankings. In general, if you have a couple of reviews or a lot of bad reviews, all right, fine. But if everything about you is bad, then Google, I guess, is aware of that. So don't be entirely bad. Just be semi-bad. That's the moral of the story.
Wow,
that's my philosophy on life.
Oh, I'm not surprised at all
Yep.
that's your philosophy. Yeah, okay.
Aren't you surprised I have a philosophy? Everybody has a philosophy.
Okay. Let's move on. Did you know that Google has automated many manual actions? Which ones? We don't know.
Right, so there's that.
Yeah.
Not that it really matters, but I mean, I guess it matters. What am I saying?
What are you saying?
I don't really know, because it's like trying to figure out, like, what's the implications of this? Like, all right, so, Google's able to do this without a person, with an algorithm. Okay. And it's cool.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sure.
That's what it is. It is what it is.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Okay. Lastly, as in the last item.
Yes,
Morty?
yes, we
Lastly?
get that joke.
Okay.
I get that joke. hmm
Okay.
You troll me every week with it.
Yeah, and you still get it wrong, so okay.
Because I'm thinking ahead of the next segment, like, hey, I gotta get ready for the next one. Sorry. I'm trying to host a podcast.
Okay, lastly, lead formats have come to YouTube. The ad type mirrors the lead format used on the SERP.
Yeah, that's cool. So, in case,
Yeah, sure.
do you ever click on the ads? Like, do you ever, like, actually engage
No,
the ads
never.
on YouTube? Never.
Never.
That's
No.
an interesting format for YouTube. I never do. Only by accident, where, like, you're, like, trying to get rid of the ad, and you press it, like, ugh. Now it took me to this ad page. Freaking hell. Just trying to watch
Right
Stephen A.
away.
Smith yell about basketball. Could you leave me alone, YouTube? So I don't know if that's a format that works for YouTube or not, but it's there.
Right.
So that's that.
That's that.
Light week on the news, Sapir. Couldn't you have made more news?
Wow. What? I'm sorry. It was a slow week.
Yeah, let's blame somebody. Let's blame you.
How about we blame you instead?
Okay. Hey, I'm over, but gotta blame somebody. Blame Canada. Okay. With that, we have the most original, most amazing, never done this podcast before, fun SEO send-off question. I am so sure we've done this before.
Did we?
It's getting to the point where, like, I don't remember anymore, and it's like it's becoming a problem because we don't have a
we
list.
Did it before.
We
I
definitely
don't think
did
we
this.
Did it before. No, we did a different question. I think.
Hey, no, we do like a million of these
Yeah.
kinds of questions.
These kinds of questions, okay,
Right,
but
and
not
I'm pretty
this
sure this is
particular question.
no. This is definitely the first one. This is the first one everybody would do.
You think?
Yeah, I mean, let's go for it anyway. No one remembers. We don't remember. You think the audience remembers?
All right. Okay, this week we're asking, what's Google's favorite ice cream flavor?
Strawberry. Strawberry.
Strawberry.
Because that's nobody's favorite ice cream flavor. You know when you have like Neapolitan, right? The chocolate, vanilla, strawberry. Which as a kid, I always read as Napoleon.
I like strawberry flavor.
But when you have the three there, the big three,
Right.
no one goes for the strawberry. It's like they only put it in there because otherwise strawberry would
I
never
go
get eaten.
for the strawberry.
Well, you're a freak. No one does.
Okay.
Seriously, you go for the straw. No, my father does.
Yes,
You're right.
I like berry
You're right.
flavored ice
So
cream.
you're in the same company as my father. Great, good company to be in. He goes for the strawberry over the chocolate and vanilla.
Can I answer?
Two freaks in a
Can I
pod.
give my answer?
Go ahead.
I say Google would be either the type of person to go for a really plain flavor like vanilla, or Google would like a really strange flavor like mint chocolate.
You say
Very
vanilla
controversial.
like Jean-Claude Van Damme. Vanilla. Say vanilla
Stop
again.
making
Say
fun
vanilla
of
again.
my accent. I cannot control it.
Say vanilla again.
I don't want to.
Just do it.
No?
Come on.
You'll have to
Just press rewind. Fine. Vanilla. Jean-Claude Van Damme.
And that's
No, I didn't get my answer. Mint chocolate chip, because that's the kind of ice cream I like. So I'm assuming that's what Google likes, because I'm very egotistical, narcissistic, and self-centric.
Ew, that's disgusting. Why
You
would I
just
try?
said mint chocolate. You just
Yeah,
said it.
because it's controversial. It's like the pineapple and pizza type of thing.
No, that is the
Yes.
best ice cream, mint chocolate chip.
Ew, that's like
Frickin' hell.
Like they took chocolate ice cream and put and mixed it with toothpaste. Come on.
That's a good point, but it tastes good. That's a good point. I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna try putting like toothpaste on my vanilla ice cream and see what happens.
Okay, you'll tell me how it goes then.
What goes? Come on, say vanilla again. One time. Say vanilla again. One time.
No, never.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget tomorrow, next week, there is no episode. I'm going on vacation, taking a break. We're back with Nick Ranger on Rank Ranger on August 25th. So tune in then. Thank you so much again. It's been In Search because, hey, we're all in search of something. Toodaloo!